Top of the morning to you. It's the 4th of November 2025, quite mild outside, damp and gloomy. I was flicking through Belfast Live and I saw this headline. A brilliant Irish war film on Netflix called Even Better Than Apocalypse Now. And I went on to YouTube and watched several minutes clips out of this film. The Irish war film drama stars Belfast favourite Jamie Dornan, and Netflix fans have dubbed it an underrated gem. I love war films. I shouldn't, but I do. I like good war films, authentic war films. I don't like gory war films, but then you're going to get killing and death and everything else. But here's one that is based on a true story. And this article has been written by Hannah McGreevy, assistant editor of Belfast Live. Jamie Dornan stars as Patrick Quinlan in the Irish period drama from Netflix. So what's this all about? An Irish war film based on a shocking true story has been hailed as an underrated gem and is currently available to stream on Netflix. The Siege of Jadotville, first released in 2016, draws inspiration from a significant battle during the Congo Crisis of the 1960s. And I remember the Congo Crisis in the 60s, even as a young fella. The 5-day siege commenced on 13th of September 1961, unfolding amidst a 7-day escalation of hostilities between Congolese and ONUC, United Nations operations in the Congo, forces during Operation Mother. And all sorts of bad things was happening in the Congo. Belfast-born actor Jamie Dornan stars as Patrick Quinlan in the war film alongside Emmanuel Senior, Mark Strong, Michael Perbrand and Michael McHalton. The synopsis of the Siege of Jadotville reads: an Irish commander and his battalion of 150 men withstand a siege by 3,000 Congolese troops, led by French and Belgian mercenaries working for mining corporations. No, not mining corporations, mining corporations. There's always big business and money involved. The war film was released in 2016. Directed by Richie Smyth, it is one of Netflix's earliest original feature films, reports the Irish Mirror. The Siege holds a 64% critical score and 74% audience rating on Rotten Tomatoes. Fans have taken to the comments section of the review aggregation website to share their thoughts, with one writing, "Incredible, this is what a movie is supposed to be like. Best war film ever, even better than Apocalypse Now," another declared, while a third fan concurred, "One of the best war movies around. I had no idea about this story, a total injustice to those guys, total heroes." One individual remarked, "Absolutely worth watching. This is an incredible true story of valour, determination and intelligence against brutal force." Another viewer dubbed the film an underrated gem with superb acting and storytelling, while another gave it a perfect 10 out of 10 score. Set in 1961. Mind-blowing non-stop action with great chemistry on stage to stage the special effects, wrote another fan. Riveting movie, absolutely must see. One viewer praised Netflix, exclaiming, "Excellent movie. So glad this was made. I had never even heard of this part of history. Thanks, Netflix. Thoroughly recommend. There's so many wars in Africa that you never hear of. So many massacres in Africa that you never hear of on the BBC News. Massacres happening in Nigeria all the time, and you never, massacres of Christians in Nigeria all the time, and the BBC and the ITV News just don't make any mention of it whatsoever. It was the same back then for these African wars. Absolutely blew me away. Outstanding film and based on a true story too, marvelled another fan. However, critics were less enthusiastic about the film, with the Hollywood Reporter criticising some scenes as nearly comical, while the Los Angeles Times contended the Siege of Jadotville valiantly fights to reclaim pride in a slice of Irish military history, but it seems to have ignored those who the Irish were fighting for. Well, I don't know about that. The critics, I always disagree, or usually always disagree with what the critics are saying. It's the man in the street that I'll stand with on this. Nonetheless, the Irish Times offered a more positive review. Oh, good old Irish Times, stating a highly diverting film that rightly honours forgotten and subsequently mistreated heroes from Irish history. And I'll certainly make efforts to watch this, not on Netflix. I might add, I'll watch clips and stuff on YouTube. And there it is on YouTube. And there's several short clips. And there's the real Pat Quinlan. YouTube's brilliant, actually, And there's the boys that actually survived this. Oh, brilliant. I'll check this out. Super duper. And there's been a book written about this, the Irish Army's Forgotten Battle. In telling the full story for the first time, former soldier Declan Power does the brave men of A Company a great service, and that's from John Moran, Irish Times. And there's the boys. Let's see if I can get hold of this book. What does this say here? It's hard to read this. The Irish soldier has never been a stranger to fighting the enemy with the odds stacked against him. And that's true, the fighting Irish. The action of charging into adversity has been a cherished part of Irish military history. Yeah, that's true. In September 1961, another chapter should have been written into the annals, but it is a tale that lay shrouded in dust for years. The men of A Company, 35th Irish Infantry Battalion, arrived in the Congo as part of a UN mission ONUC to help keep the peace. For many, it would be their first trip outside their native shores. These were all young lads. Some of the troops were teenage boys. Their army issue hobnailed boots still unbroken. They had never fired a shot in anger. Others were experienced professional soldiers, but were still not prepared for the action that was about to take place. Led by Commander Pat Quinlan, A Company found themselves tasked with protecting the European population, as Jadotville, a small mining something in the southern Congolese province of Katanga. It fell to A Company to try and protect people who later turned on them. On the 13th of September 1961, the bright morning air of Jadotville was shattered by the sound of automatic gunfire. The men of A Company found their morning mass parade interrupted, and within minutes went from holding rosaries to rifles as they entered the world of combat. This was to be no though cut off and surrounded, the men of Jadotville held their ground and fought. This is their story. That's terrific. And that's the Congo. I'd like to get hold of this book.